guys, it's Brittany, and today I have a very exciting guest on my channel. Oh my god, I haven't collabed in so long, and I'm so excited for this guest. You guys, I'm here with Mysterion, one of the world's leading mentalists. You might have seen him on America's Got Talent, Penn and Teller. What else? You've been on like everything. You have had quite the career.
America's Most Wanted, but we won't talk about that one.
We won't talk about that. We are in his home.
My lair. Welcome to my lair.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, you're welcome.
We are in his oddity room. Like, this is insane. I was in here earlier, so I can't really do like a whole reaction because I already did my reaction when I came in, and I'm so in awe. Like, this is insane. All the stuff that you've been collecting for how many years?
Oh, I've been collecting since as long as I can remember.
Wow.
When I was a kid, we went to Ripley's, believe it or not, and I remember going into the gift shop after and wanting to buy a real shrunken head, which of course they didn't sell. Yeah. And I got a little book with the different exhibits in the book that we had just seen, and I remember thinking, if and at some point, whenever that may be, if I get the opportunity to buy a shrunken head or a whatever, cursed doll or a human skull or whatever the case might be, I'm going to do that. And my magic career went quite well, so I used the money irresponsibly and filled my house with things we don't need.
I love it. What is your like creepiest item in here? What's haunted?
I mean, there's so many different items. There isn't one specific item that's the creepiest, but I would say that the most unusual item that we still don't have an explanation for is this little fellow. This is called an Atacama mummy, and I'll take him out. This is a tiny humanoid. Now, you may have seen, they recently discovered one of these and did a documentary on it, and they named him Cirrus. There are only 3 of these known to exist. The Cirrus mummy, this mummy, and the one that Robert Ripley owned in 1939 that went missing. And he called it the Attaboy, and I call this one the Attagirl. And it's an unknown species. It has hardened adult bones, extra ribs, 4 fingers. If you look inside his little mouth, he has tiny little teeth.
Oh my god.
That is not how a fetus or any animal would be developed in this stage. This is a full adult creature, and people have speculated that these Atacama mummies are alien. And so in Peru, they would have had, you know, I'm not going to get into alien conspiracy theories, but the people of Peru many thousands of years ago would elongate their skulls. And there's an elongated human skull right there.
Oh my god.
And you would ask yourself, why would somebody want to alter the way our biology appears? And some people would guess it's to look extraterrestrial, to look like the gods. So this was to honor the gods. You would look like the gods. So maybe these gray aliens were here and giving people information and technology and math and just whatever. And there's one that died and was given a proper burial. But this came to me from a reputable antiques dealer in a very unusual series of circumstances that led to me getting this into my collection.
Oh, wow.
You can touch it if you want.
Can I hold it?
Well, just touch its face. Ha!
I knew it. I knew you were going to do something.
I'm sorry. I'm the bad guy.
No, I love it. Oh my god.
Yeah, so isn't that something?
Yes.
And you can
this room is crazy.
It's unbelievably interesting because it just keeps, you know, look, that's not human.
Yeah.
That's not how our development happens. I mean, that's not.
Oh my god.
We don't know what it is.
No.
So if you have any idea, let us know in the comments.
Yes, please.
It's not a baby. It's not a baby. I've had this looked at by 3 doctors.
Wow.
One of them took an X-ray of it. A dentist took an X-ray with the X-ray machine, and when we looked at the X-ray, it was fully adult skeleton inside.
Oh my god.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It is cool.
So I might have evidence of alien life right here in Parkdale.
You might.
I might.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Has there been any weird encounters in here? Like, have you heard any weird stuff? Have you?
Yes.
Do you feel a certain way in here when you're by yourself? Like, does anything throw you off? Like, what makes you I mean, everything is
There's
so
really
crazy.
nothing in my collection that I'm afraid of, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, well, no,
none of this
so
I'm
tough.
afraid of. I've slept on this floor. I had one time a whole circus troupe from Coney Island come here. They got snowed in, and so I offered up my house, and I ended up sleeping in here. And it's just like I'm sleeping anywhere else in the room, in the house. It's just a room of stuff. Does stuff have energy? Absolutely. There are some items in here that do have a very dark history. For example, right over here, that skull.
Oh, right.
Right over here, this skull is a cannibalized human. So this is from the Ifugao tribe of the North Philippines, and this guy would have been eaten by the tribe. Wow. And you can even see that there's scratch marks on the bone. That's from the tools that were used to remove the flesh. And then the tribe would consume the body. And why tribes would do this would be to control the spirit of the dead in the afterlife so it doesn't come back for vengeance.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So don't get on their bad side.
No.
There's all sorts of interesting pieces in here from different parts of the world. There's headhunter trophies from Papua New Guinea. And certain tribes of Papua New Guinea would actually paint the superhero, the Phantom, on their shields. So I put him up there with the tribal skulls. There's albino animals. There's an albino squirrel, an albino muskrat, an albino porcupine, an albino raccoon, and then behind us an albino deer, all kinds of albino animals, albino snakes, albino hedgehog, and then little double-bodied animals, double-headed animals, mutations in development. Wow. This here is a pretty amazing piece. This is a cyclops pig. So this was born without its orbital bone separating in utero. The animal didn't develop fully. And yeah.
With Charles Manson, what is all that?
So, you know, to the viewers that are unaware of who Charles Manson is, he was a cult leader in the 60s and early 70s. He went to prison until recently when he passed away just a few years ago.
Yeah, just a few years.
And he was responsible for leading his followers to commit some heinous crimes in the Hollywood area. They murdered Sharon Tate, and she was expecting, and her baby, and you can look all those details up. But a lot of his followers were in prison and would do correspondence with people outside, including Charles himself. And what we have on the right are a couple of letters that are signed by his couple of his followers, his flock.
Oh, wow.
And then on the left are a Christmas card and a piece of artwork that he made and signed. And he also would make music, and so that's a copy of his LP of his music. Now this wasn't released in his the record wasn't released. It was released after he was incarcerated. So that image on the cover is from Life magazine. So whoever made that called it Lie. I think that's kind of fun. The record itself is folk music. It's nothing overly scary. It's kind of just, in my opinion, not really my thing. But the whole display is sort of a time capsule of the Manson family, and very interesting piece of history.
Oh yeah, for sure. So do you have any more serial killer stuff?
I have a little bit of serial killer stuff. I used to have a big collection of serial killer stuff, and then I sold it for comic books, which I then sold for action figures.
Which serial killers?
I had a Gacy Pogo painting.
He's the clown.
He's the clown.
Yeah.
I had an Ed Gein piece of his farmhouse. Actually, I still have the Ed Gein piece of the farmhouse. It's right up there.
Oh my god.
You can see it up in there. I had an Albert Fish newspaper. Albert Fish was a nefarious man in the 30s who cannibalized a child victim. And it was a huge story in New York, and essentially he is the sort of stranger danger, the first guy. Don't go off with a stranger. They called him the Gray Man. And anyway, he was a horrific human being. I had one of the most amazing newspapers with him on it being led to the courthouse. I had all kinds of stuff, letters, correspondence from probably about 80 different infamous killers,
oh my God.
Including Myra Hindley, who was a British serial killer of children. Horrific people.
Yeah.
And I did, the energy off of these things were not fun, so I kind of got rid of them. It was more of an interest documenting this sort of dark side of humanity, and then at one point I just went, you know what? it's not me. I need to get rid of it. But I kept this. I kept this because
that's interesting.
These were a gift, and this is just an interesting piece, so I just decided to keep it. But as for the serial killer stuff, there's not much of it anymore.
I want to ask you about being a mentalist.
Sure.
I find it so fascinating what you do. I told you earlier, you remind me of Chris Angel. Because I grew up watching Chris Angel, like Mind Freak, all that stuff, being like illusionist and stuff, and you're a magician. What exactly is a mentalist?
So a mentalist is, as I like to describe it, a individual who uses psychology and flat out misdirection and deception to create the idea of mind reading. So part of what I do is based on my gut instinct. Part of what I do is based on human conditioning, and part of my work is based on pure trickery. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. If I ask the average person to think of a number between 1 and 10, if you're thinking of a number right now between 1 and 10, think of a number. If you thought of 7, you're just an average person. It's not a bad thing. It means you follow the status quo. But I don't think you thought of 7. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What did you think of? Say it out loud.
4.
4. Out of all the numbers, well, I just repeated. See, that's what I had written on the paper.
What? Sorry, the camera wasn't focused, so we got zoom in on it.
There it is.
There we go.
So that's what you thought
But
of.
what is your process?
Well, it takes a little bit more than just a 1 in 10 chance to make it really work. I'll show you what I'm talking about. How about Talking to the Dead? Okay, so it's a novel. It has about 300 pages in it, 380. And there are thousands and thousands of words in here. Keep this footage,
Okay,
So go
you're
ahead.
making me nervous, but like in the best way.
Pick any word out of that book. Pick a word that's considerably lengthy, not an easy word or a simple word. Do you have a word? Anyone that you see? Okay, close the book.
I think that's what I'm gonna go with.
You think you're gonna go with that? Did you change your mind?
No.
Was it long?
It was normal.
Like longer than 6 or 7 letters?
Yeah.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Beginning with an E?
No.
What was the first letter?
S.
And then an N?
Yes.
And then an O. And then, on the count of 3, we're gonna say the whole word. Ready? Both of us.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Snowflakes.
Oh my god!
I saw it. But you were thinking of a physical snowflake landing, weren't you?
Yes!
Like in a cartoon or something. You were kind of thinking of the pattern. One really stood out.
But like how?
Because I can see it right there. Right in there.
That's crazy.
I see other things in there too. And if you come onto my channel, I'll tell you all of her secrets. Trust me. Deranged individual.
I am in the best way.
So that's an example of what I do.
But like you actually, like how did you know that you could do this?
So back a long time ago, there was a guy on TV that was called the Amazing Kreskin. He's still alive. He still performs. I think he's almost 90. And I used to watch him. I used to stay home from school. Those kids fake sick so they can stay home from school and maybe play video games. I would sit and watch a Mentalist on TV. This was before VCRs. That's how old I am. And he was amazing. Literally, that was his name, and he was just awesome at what he did. I remember him having somebody hide a key somewhere in the city of Manhattan, and then that key opened up a box that had money inside, and if he could find the key, he got to keep the money. And he just held on to the person's hand and had them think about where the key was, hopped in a cab, guided the cab driver where to go, landed the key, and opened the box. So I thought to myself, this guy's a real superhero. He's got powers. I had to know how it was done. So I started to research and go to the library. Before there was the internet, there was the library, and magic books and studying magic and going, I don't like magic. I don't want to learn how to make a silk vanish. I want to learn how to read minds. And in most of these magic books, in the back of the magic book, there was 1 or 2 things that were related to that type of magic. So I would absorb any of it, any way I can, and start thinking in that way. And eventually started to perform full time. That was quite a while back now. And I've been performing full time for over 20 years. And recently in the last 7 or 8 years with Steffi K as the sentimentalist.
Yes.
And we fooled Penn and Teller, which is amazing.
I saw your trophy.
Yeah, right. She has one as well, and her husband.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
we said we were going to cut it in half, and they were like, no. So they gave us both a trophy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so the sentimentalists are 2 mentalists.
Yes.
So imagine how much trouble that can start, you know, having 2 people on stage reading your thoughts.
You guys are so good together too. Like you can feel the energy on stage.
Oh, it's such a fun show.
It is.
My favorite part of doing the show with her is when the people take things out of their bags and say, okay, what am I holding? And she'll be on stage blindfolded.
Right.
And she'll say, oh, you're holding a wristwatch. What brand is it? It's a Rolex. All right, now what am I holding? It's somebody's comb, whatever it would be. And we were in Nashville, and someone handed me a flashlight, and I turned on the flashlight and didn't realize it was a stun gun for if somebody was in trouble, that they can pull it out and get their attacker. And I electrocuted myself in the audience, and everyone was like, oh my god. And I just kind of looked at it and I went, and that's why I have the white stripe in my hair. And I just kept going with the show, and I got shocked. But the electricity and we have this weird, I've been hit by lightning. That's fact.
Wow.
That is fact.
He's basically the Flash.
Yeah, I was hit by lightning in 2006, yeah.
Wow.
Walking across a parking lot to a donut shop, and all I remember is a bright light and darkness and waking up in the donut shop with an ambulance. And I was fine. Yeah.
But what would you say is like the difference between being a mentalist and psychic abilities?
So I think with psychic ability, there's a... Oh boy, there's a really good question. First of all, I do believe in paranormal occurrences. I've had strange, unexplainable things happen to me. Taking that and putting it on a shelf, most people are going to look at me in the magic community and say, you're wrong for thinking that way, you should only be scientific minded. I think that's kind of foolish. I'm open to both. So I'm a little bit of an outlier in the sense that I would look at this and go, okay, well, I know at some point some of the things I'm doing are just for entertainment, and that's what a mentalist is doing. A psychic would say, I had a dream the other night and I dreamt that my cousin passed away and he's in good health. He's only 40, and then the cousin passes away. There's a lot of weird, sort of inexplainable things going on in that circumstance. How the hell did that happen? All right. So a psychic is just going to have this information come to them, and let's hope it works. In my experiences, most psychics I've dealt with are not accurate. But there have been a few that have really hit the nail on the head and have even freaked me out. So that's where I want to put my attention on. I want to go, okay, well, there's something weird going on here. And so that's kind of the difference between a mentalist and a psychic. I think one is giving you life advice and one is entertaining you. That's the difference.
And talk about America's Got Talent.
Oh, yeah.
So what was it like performing in front of Simon
Terrifying.
Cowell?
I mean, we went on, and here was this panel of famous judges who are essentially going to tell the world what they're going to think of you.
Yes.
And it was a kind of a win-loss situation for us. We went on, did incredibly, but they weren't impressed. And they were trying to raise the bar a bit, but I felt we did incredibly because we did the same effect that fooled Penn and Teller. We changed it. Instead of me going into the wind machine and catching the drawing, we put Terry Crews in the wind machine. So now I don't even have a hands-on approach to this.
Yeah.
And, you know, because of that, the outcome was, well, what do you really do? What is your purpose here? Oh, fuck, you're right. I'm here, and Steffi's doing the mind reading, but what's my point? Where's my purpose in this? I had Terry do it. I did that to just be hands off, right?
Yeah.
So I think they kind of looked at it and went, I don't get what your point is being here. So at that moment I went, no, I have to do something. And I went down to Simon and I said, listen, name anything you've ever wanted. I think it was a celebrity name, put it on a paper. And he tried to throw us off and wrote Lassie, which is a dog.
Yes.
And Steffi was up on stage, still blindfolded, I believe, and she said, this is something from your childhood. This is not a human, it's an animal. And you can just see his face change. It's Lassie, and then he changed his vote and we went through. The second appearance we went on, we had Brad Paisley as a celebrity guest. We floored them. We slayed them on that one, and they all had amazing positive things to say. But when the voting was done to who goes into the actual next stage, which was the live rounds, they voted us out. And it was very unusual because we thought you just did incredible. I'm not going to compare myself to other acts, but I've seen other acts that have gone through that have done less, much less. And so I was a little bit perturbed when that happened. Well, then we got the vote from America, the wild card, and we came back for the wild card, and that was when AGT sort of threw us a real bad curveball. That was a learning experience. The entire thing was a great experience to say, you know what, our career is not dependent on a game show or a talent contest. It's dependent on what we do outside of that. So it was a positive experience overall, but a very stressful one.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, Canada's Got Talent, complete opposite. They were so backing of us, they were accommodating, the judges loved us, they were basically just exalting us, and we got to the semis, which is great. And then we went on home, which is fine. Penn and Teller, we won. Yeah. And that's great.
And I'm praying for you that you get your own Las Vegas show. I know you say you have performed in Vegas.
We performed in Vegas many times.
You need like a show at the Luxor or something.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing.
What's like a magical...
Was the Tropicana, Rio. The Rio has Penn and Teller. We can't take that. But there's so many spaces in Vegas. But there's so much more. There's more than just Vegas. I mean, Vegas means that we're going to be stuck in the same room every night. Yeah. The only people that are going to see us are the tourists coming to see the magic show. I like to see the world. I like to go out and meet people. I like to go to rural areas. I like to go to the big cities.
You can tell it's your passion, and it's what you've been doing for so long, and you truly enjoy it, and you have a following, and it's just... You're like all over TV, like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird how many people see who I am and I don't remember that on any given day. It's really weird. I'll go out, I'm pretty grassroots. I'll take the subway. You know, I live right by the subway station, and I'll go into the subway and I'll walk in and there'll be people kind of looking at me, and then someone will come up and go, "Are you who I think you are?" And I go, "Please don't phone the police," you know? And they burst out laughing, and it's sort of this icebreaker. And they're like, "What are you doing on the subway?" And I'm like, well, hopefully getting to my station, right? You know, they expect me to be driving around in a limousine. It's like, no, I'm just a person like everybody else. I just have unusual things that I have myself surrounded with.
I love it.
And I get to do what I love as a career. I'm still going to hop on the subway. I'm still going to go buy groceries, right? And then when people are like, yeah, you know who that is? They're like, yeah, that's Mysterion. He lives right around the corner. I see him every day. So to them, it's kind of just, you know.
And how did you get your name?
It means secret in Greek.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. It's been 25 years of that.
25?
Yeah. Wow. And the stripe too. I can't get rid of that. If I got rid of it on TV on America's Got Talent. Told me to get rid of the stripe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know, and I had a bazillion emails telling me, where the hell's your stripe?
That's how they can be though on TV. They'll ask you to like
control you. They want to see if you're going to do it, right?
Yes.
They just want to see if you'll do it.
Yeah.
And I did it. I did it.
I hope you get a TV show too.
Put it back in. We're working on that.
I can see you.
Yeah.
Because I know you and I were talking about it earlier and how
it can be a pain in the ass sometimes, especially when you've gone through all the motions that they want you to do, and then they just kind of disappear. You get ghosted, and it's like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to believe it till I see it.
That's what I've been saying. Do you want to get into Walt or?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to talk about Walt?
Sure. So, okay, Walt, the doll, the creepy doll.
Yeah. So Walt is an interesting doll. Walt is the name of the entity that possesses him. The doll doesn't have a name.
Oh, right, okay.
The entity is named Walt, so therefore, by default, the doll is named Walt.
What's the age, would you say?
1930. So I know the story of the doll, and I know the story of its connection with its first issues that came from that doll. So Walt is a child who was on the spectrum. He was essentially kept in his room, in his home, by his family, not treated the way that we would treat somebody on the spectrum now. He was loved, but he was still kind of isolated. The doll was one of his only companions. The kid was a little bit of had outbursts, would get violent, okay? And they didn't know how to control that. So they kind of punished him. And they had a fire, which was completely directly because of the boy. He set the house on fire. The house mainly burned to the ground. Everyone survived, but at that point they put the kid in a sanitarium. The doll ended up going through different people. They took it, went through different family members, and there's been 5 owners prior to me, of which 2 have had fires. Yeah.
Are you ever scared that?
No.
Okay.
No. So things have happened with this doll that are fire related.
Like what?
Well, a friend of mine was in my apartment. I don't smoke cigarettes or drugs or anything like that. But I'm not a square. I have a friend, I don't care if people want to smoke a joint in my house, smoke a joint in my house. So a friend of mine smoking a joint, and he takes it, and he puts it in an ashtray, and it's, I swear to my life, it's like 3 feet away from the doll. It's just sitting on the speaker of the turntable. Music's not even on, so there's no vibration, nothing, just dead silent. Puts the joint in the thing, and we're talking. He's sitting there talking, and the joint is almost as if somebody flicks it. It flicks, flies over. We just both watch it flip, land right on the chair in front of Walt, and the doll shifts forward. So there's a lit ember on the chair.
Wow.
Had we not been in there, like if he put it down and we left, it may have started a fire. So that's one thing.
Oh my God.
A second thing you'll notice, if we light candles around the doll, we can have the same candle in different areas, and the ones near the doll will move and flicker.
Oh my God.
Or go out, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and that happened on television. That happened on Hulu, where we had a paranormal team look at Walt, and I was watching it happen right in front of my eyes, and they were watching the candles do it, and they're like, how are you doing this? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm looking at their candles going, are you trying to fool me? And they're going, no, we don't even know what you were going to bring in.
Wow.
They had other people bringing in items. They knew what the doll, well, one of them of the 3 knew what the doll was, but the 2 didn't have a clue. And they were telling me stuff about it that was accurate. And they said that there was a lock of hair inside the boy. And I said, no, I don't think so. And then when I opened him up, there was a little lock of hair there. I'm like, okay, that's amazing. You figured,
yes.
you know. So Walt's my haunted doll, and we can take a look at him.
Right now?
You want to come look?
Let's go.
It's not going to end well.